Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Rowe. We're looking in geometry part A. This is lesson 13, and we're going to talk about translations. Again, some information in the lesson we're going to discuss. Just kind of talk you through it so you can get through the assignment. So let's take a look at what translations are again. Remember, a translation will map each point of the pre-image to points an equal distance away from the same image. So if we have triangle ABC here, then the translation will move that along the same line to a new location where we'll name A prime, B prime, C prime. And what are we going to see there? We'll know that AA prime is the same distance as BB prime and the same distance as C prime. We also know that AA prime, so that's these lines here are going to be parallel to each other. So these will be parallel, these will be parallel, and so on. And we know that the pictures will have the same orientation. So we couldn't turn this figure in any way. We couldn't have a reflection. It would be a translation which has the same orientation. And a translation is a rigid motion, which means it's an isometry. So angles and lengths will remain the same. So let's take a look at an example. Let's translate using this rule. Now remember, there's a couple ways we could write the rule. This is arrow displacement notation. So what this says is that we'll take x and we'll do this to it. We'll add 3 to each x value. We'll take y and we'll subtract 4. So this will be translated into right 3, down 4. So here is triangle WTG. And we're going to move it 3 units right and 4 units down. So we're going to start with point T at -2, 3. We're going to move it 3 units to the right and then 4 units down. And that's where the new point's going to be, point T prime. And T prime moves to, if we look, 1, -1, which you could also find by -2 plus 3 is +1, and 3 minus 4 is -1. So you could apply the subtraction rule right to the points. So let's look at G. G is at -1, 0. We're going to move it 3 units right, 4 units down, and that's where G prime is going to be. So G prime will move to 2, -4. And finally, let's take a look at W. W is at -4, 1. It is going to move to -1, -3. And so that's where the new triangle is going to be. So that is the translation. So let's take a look at another example. Now this is vector notation. So what does this mean right here? Well, this means the same as we wrote with the arrow displacement notation. This just tells you that you're going to move every x value 5 units left since it's negative, and y is not going to change. So that's what this means. So let's take a look at the figure. Here's triangle ABC, and the subscript -5, 0 means the same as 5 steps to the left. Since there is no second coordinate, or second coordinate is 0, the object will not move up or down. It's just going to move to the left. So we're going to count 5 steps left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right there is where A prime is going to end up at. B prime, same thing. Move it 5 steps to the left. And C prime, we're going to move it 5 steps to the left. So that is the translation, and there's the picture. So we're just going to write our new coordinates. And again, remember, we can do this by just taking this. So we start at -2. If we subtract 5, or not -2, if we start at +2 and subtract 5, we get -3. So you could do that just to find the coordinates if you're asked just to find the coordinates. B will move to -1, -3, and C will move to -4, -2. So now that is how you will conduct your translations in the lessons. You could be asked simply to draw the picture. That is something I could ask you to do, or I could ask you for the points, or I could ask you to do both. So be prepared as part of your assignment to either just translate the object or to write the coordinates of the image after the translation. So now, in the lesson, we talk about this a little bit. I'm going to try to explain it so that you understand what we're saying. How do translations relate to reflections? This is why we talk about reflections first in the lesson. So a translation can be made from a composition of reflections across two parallel lines. So a composition means that we're going to reflect over two lines, reflect over one, then reflect over another, and that will equal a translation. So both reflection lines are perpendicular to the line containing the pre-image point and the corresponding image point. Well, that'll be clear in the picture in just a second. The distance between the pre-image and its image is twice the distance between the two reflection lines. So basically what this thing is saying, both reflection lines are perpendicular to the line containing the pre-image and its point. So like if we drew a line right here that connected A prime, and A double prime, it would be perpendicular to the lines of reflection. Same for C. If we drew a line that connected those points, there would be a perpendicular line that would connect those lines. So, and then the distance from here to here, D, if we were to take the distance from A to A prime, that would be twice this distance. So that's what this picture is kind of indicating, and this theorem indicates. So the length of A2 prime, B2 prime, and C2 prime is 2 times the distance D between the lines of reflection. I just kind of explained that. So let's take a look at an example here. So we're going to translate triangle PQR using the rule XY, and then X doesn't change, but Y we're going to add 6. So here is our image. So since we're just adding 6, this object will move up 6 units. And so there it is, moved up 6 units. So we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that object, P prime, Q prime, R prime, is 6 units from the original image, the pre-image PQR, triangle PQR. So now let's do a reflection, a composition of reflections. Now, if you read these compositions, this is the reflection across the x-axis after a reflection across the line y equals -3. So this is the second reflection. This is the first reflection. This is how these are written. So here is the original object. We're going to reflect it over the line at y equals -3 first. So here's the line y equals -3. Remember the reflection, it's a mirror image across this line. So 1 unit away, 1 unit away. Since this line is already on the line of reflection, it's going to remain the same. These are 2 units from the line of reflection, so 2 units apart. So now we're going to reflect over the x-axis. So here is the x-axis. So when we reflect that, you see we count 1 unit, then 1 unit. So this one is 1, 2, 3 units, 1, 2, 3 units. 1, 2 units, 1, 2 units. So now how do these two compare to each other? Well, let's look at the points first. So P prime is at -4, -1. Well, where is P double prime in the other object? Well, look at that, it's at the same point. So those are the same. What about Q? 0, 3, 0, 3. Look at that. And finally, let's look at R. R is at 5, 2. And then R double prime in the other picture is, yep, at 5, 2. So these are the same images. So this translation of y plus 6 is the same as this composition of reflections across the x-axis after reflecting over the line y equals -3. So that is the same object. Now let's look at the distances between. So let's look right here. The distance between the lines of reflection right here. So we're looking at the x-axis and this line y equals 3. Well, that's 3 units away. So that means that the distance from here to here should be 6. Well, if you look, yep, it's 6 units away. So that is how a reflection, or two reflections, can be made into a translation. So the composition of reflections can be made into a translation. So now let's take a look at how we would write rules for translations. This is not covered in the lesson. The only way you're getting this information is through watching this recording. So please stop, go back and record so you can see. It's not a very difficult thing to do. So that's why I'm just kind of doing it here in the recording. So here is our image and pre-image. So remember, the pre-image is the one without the prime. So this is the original object. So we're moving this object to this object. So how does this object move over here? So we're going to count from the pre-image to the image. So right there, that is 6 units. So we take 6 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That gets in line with M prime. And then we have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we go right 6, up 5. Since each point moves 6 units to the right and 5 units up, as an arrow notation, this would be xy moves to x plus 6, y plus 5. As the vector notation, this would be the translation of 6, 5 of triangle LNM. LMN is the same as triangle L prime, M prime, N prime. All right, so let's take a look at an example here. What translation is equivalent to a composition reflection over the lines x equals -2 and x equals 1? So let's take a look. We've got a triangle located at -4, 1, -1, 2, and -3, 3. I'm not even going to draw that triangle out because we don't need to draw the triangle out to figure out what the translation is going to be. We're just going to kind of look at the lines of reflection here. And we're going to use that rule that we learned, which says that those are 3 units apart. So since there are 3 units between the lines of reflections, that's the important thing here. How far would it be between the pre-image point and the final image point? Well, that's going to be 6 units. So that means that this translation should be the translation of xy, and we're moving this direction, just this direction. We're not moving up or down. Should be x plus 6, and then y doesn't move, so we'll just write y, or a translation of 6, 0. That's the vector notation. And then we're gonna just demonstrate that this is true by checking one point. We're going to look at point A. Point A is at -4, 1. If we reflect over x equals -2, it's going to move to 1, 0. Remember, we count spaces 1, 2, and then 1, 2 again. It's right there. And so now we reflect over the line x equals 1, and we're going to get at 2, 0. So you see that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 steps. So yes, we have the right translation. So I hope this helps you with understanding what a translation is and how translations and reflections go together. If you're struggling with the content, if you still struggle after watching this a few times, please make an appointment for a help session. Definitely let me know in a teacher message.